What's a show without the countdown and a little bit of rock music
There we go.
or a
The
lot of
canned
rock music? Yes.
Get
Not
that
exactly Eddie Van Halen here.
Get that reverb in there, though.
Gotta have it. Gotta have.
Should we headbang like Wayne and Garth opening the show?
Oh, of course. Where do you think I'm growing my hair out, baby? Headbanging all day and into the night. Orange and blue today, training camp edition, presented by Schomp Honda. It is Cecil Lammey. It is Andrew Mason. And it's time to hand out the report card grades for Broncos training camp, which means, Mace, we've got a lot on our plate today. You are down in Arizona, ready for that Broncos game tomorrow. Are you ready to get your red pen out?
Yeah. I think Mrs. Krabappel on The Simpsons said, "Let me get out old red." I see you've got old red there ready to go. So
yes.
Are you grading on a curve? That's the question I have there, Professor.
Are we going to do most improved? Because if we're starting with Russell Wilson, I mean, he might be on that list of most improved. So we have awards and grades to hand out today.
I think we all know who the most improved player is going to be, though.
Oh, in the season?
No, I mean for training camp so far.
Oh, for training camp so far.
That's a pretty easy choice, I think.
Nick Bonito.
We'll get to that later. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, then we'll spoil the surprise. Yes, Nick Bonito, most improved player on the Broncos.
I thought you were asking me. I was like, well, it's got to be Nick Bonito, right?
Yes,
okay.
No doubt.
Well, let's start with the man. Let's start with Russell Wilson and what we've seen from him. And it's no time to do victory laps, no matter your stance on Russell Wilson. Just don't have this narrative where he can't do anything good and, nobody can talk about it. You and I will talk about it. So let's grade Russell Wilson so far.
Yeah. It's a good thing we're giving this grade out now rather than, say, a week and a half ago. But again, that's why, Sean Payton talks about having, a bigger sample size and kind of viewing everything in the aggregate rather than just focusing on one practice or two practices and things like that. I mean, I'm not saying it's an A because it was a little rough early, and I think the absence of Justin Simmons has had an impact. But as I've said here, as I've said on social media, you're not going to face many defenses with a safety the quality of Justin Simmons anyway, right? So for me, solid B+ for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and we got David in the chat room saying B-. Yeah, I would put it more towards the B+ range because he's getting it. Like the things that Sean Payton is asking him to do, he's doing it, and he's doing it on time. And that's the most important thing of this whole thing. Like, how do the passes look and the moon balls? And like, no. Is his timing down? It seems like that's getting there.
Yeah, we're seeing more of the timing plays. We're seeing him get the ball out faster, and we're seeing him when he gets the ball out quicker, also having plenty of zip on it. And if he's delivering some lasers on those slants that are 5 to 10 yards, that play is nearly impossible to defend. And you can dink and dunk your way down the field into a lot of points just riding on those types of plays. Now, there have been moments where we've seen the defenders jump it, and we saw Justin Simmons do it, for example. But more often than not, that's just going to keep you on schedule and keep the line moving.
Yeah. And Chris asked, what would his grade have been at this point last year? Honest question.
C-. Yeah.
We kept saying, like, maybe in the regular season it'll be better. And there were flashes in the Seattle game, and then just kept getting worse. So, yeah. I will be glad, and I'm not saying this for Chris's question, Mace, but I'll be glad to put last year behind us. Once the regular season games get here, this is just another step. The less I can talk about Nathaniel Hackett, the less I'll get in trouble. And plus, it's in the past, baby. Like, come on. Like, it's done.
The way to talk about Nathaniel Hackett is just to keep it on football critiques. That's the thing. Don't let it get personal. Don't, no body shaming or anything like that. Okay? That is honestly the perspective I try to take. Just keep it football. Don't let it, because I'll say this, like for Russell Wilson the last year plus, a lot of the critiques was
not football,
strangely personal.
Yes.
Which is something that to which I object, honestly. There's plenty in the football realm to talk about. There's plenty of on-field stuff to talk about there. Let's just keep it right there. And I think we'd all be healthier if we did that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good sign there as well. We got RJ saying party on. Yeah, we will.
Party on, Garth.
Party on, Wayne. And here we go. Partying about the backup quarterbacks. D. What's your grade on Jarrett Stidham and Ben DiNucci? C minus, C, solid C.
I've got a C plus for Jarrett Stidham. He's starting to make some throws. You can see why he's a backup. You've talked about this. I've talked about this. The ball placement isn't always there, and I gotta tell you, I got a B minus for Ben DiNucci, and it wasn't a great move of the ball period for him yesterday. His first move of the ball period of camp, but I've seen DiNucci thread some needles and get the ball into some tight windows. I think he's got pretty decent ball placement. I've been impressed. I think we're going to look at Ben DiNucci after these next 3 preseason games and say, okay, I don't think you can roll the dice on slipping him through the practice squad. You might have to keep him on the 53.
Yeah, and perhaps that's the Broncos' plan. We'll see. Preseason game coming up. Tomorrow's show will be telling you who to watch for. Right now, report card grades on Orange and Blue today, presented by Champ Honda.
We're not doing all 90. Let's make this clear.
We got to do it by position groups, right?
Yeah.
We'll highlight some of the top guys and then just position groups because we're on to running backs next. And Javonte, for where he's at and for what he's coming back from, you almost want to give him an A.
Yeah.
For what he's doing on the field, you probably give him a nice solid B. Samaje Perine is always a B, I think.
Yeah.
That's kind of who he is.
Yeah. I think you've got, generally speaking, B to C pluses there in that group. No one's falling behind. I think the one exception to that is Jaleel McLaughlin in terms of what he's done so far. We're going to learn more about McLaughlin Friday night, I think. I'm writing a piece for tomorrow morning at denversports.com on players that have a lot on the line in this game. And I think he's one of them. He's having a terrific camp, but he's got to show that it can translate to when the lights go on. He passed the first test, and it was that his explosiveness translated when the contact ramped up and full pads went on. Now this is the next stage. If he passes that, then I think we're having a conversation about him sneaking onto the 53.
Yes, which I and you would completely enjoy.
Yeah.
Speaking of joy, I'm just going back to the Marquez Callaway interview and then his Cortland thing when he came over and asked Cortland a question. You and I talked about fun and the role of fun. These guys are working. They're working hard. They're sweating. They're running gassers at the end of practice. But mostly they're having fun. So when we get to wide receivers, it's like, you see some guys like Court, like Marquez, even Jerry Jeudy smiling, like guys are having fun.
Well, feeling like you're on a path to success is fun. I also think that for all that was talked about in previous years about team building through field days and that sort of thing, if you truly want to build a team, you have everyone kind of come together and sweat it out a little bit, right? By all accounts, when the Broncos focused on nothing but strength and conditioning work in the first phase of OTAs, they didn't even do any meetings. They declined the chance to have the voluntary veteran minicamp that you're allowed to have when you have a new head coach coming in, and focused on the strength and conditioning. And I think there was a little bit of sort of a shared, suffering, as it were, a shared moment that brought these guys together. I feel like you're seeing some really good chemistry. You're seeing an all-for-one mentality. I think also some of that's coming from just how much they're being pushed. PJ Locke told me yesterday about how on the special teams side of it in meetings, he says, hey, you got to have a thick skin or you're not going to last in there, because they're picking out everything. They're picking out when things are going wrong in the walkthrough periods, right? And there's a lot of accountability in there, and sometimes, if it's at that kind of high level of accountability where you're pointing out the most minute details and calling guys out for what went wrong, it's the sort of thing that, believe it or not, can bring a group of players together, right? And I think what we're seeing so far, we're seeing some bonds forged by what I would say is strength of association among the players.
Yes, very much so. And the wide receiver position, Cortland Sutton A, Jerry Jeudy B plus.
I'd say B. Both Court and Jerry have had some drops. Court gets the higher grade because he's making more splash plays out there on a consistent basis than Jerry Jeudy has. There have been a couple of days where Judy's been a little bit invisible, and I can't recall a day so far where Court was invisible.
Right, and there have been a couple of days, on days that we can't say anything, where Jerry Jeudy's had bad drops.
Yeah.
I don't want to scare everybody, but like that's been out there.
There's some when we can talk about that because there have been some when fans have been out there too. But I know I actually know a couple of the plays that you're thinking of in those closed to the public practices. And
what's that one gif of the little girl that tries to catch the ball and she's like this, and the ball like bounces off her face?
Yeah,
it might have described Jerry Jeudy. Maybe we can do that next time because I think it's closed on Monday, right? So we can do that next time. We can just put out gifs. We don't have to say.
Well, hopefully,
hopefully
you won't have to drop a pass on Monday, and we won't have to do that. We won't have to mention it, right?
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah, let's hope for the positive here, my friend.
Let's stay with the positive. And what do you want to move to tight ends yet, or you got anything to say about the reserve wide receivers?
I've been impressed with Brandon Johnson's route running. Hopefully, he can get back soon. Marvin Mims, I would give an incomplete right now because he was slowly ramped up coming off of the injury that he had earlier in the offseason. But the play that he had, the deep catch, I believe it was 37 yards and moved the ball a couple of days back. I think that's the sort of play that can give him some confidence, and he's going to get reps now with Brandon Johnson working his way back and with Tim Patrick out for the season. And then kind of like Joe McLaughlin, let's see what Taylor Grimes does when the lights come on and you're in the big stadium there, as they're going to be on Friday night. Let's see what happens in that game. That's an opportunity for him to build on what's been a pretty good camp.
I would love to see it. Sean says, "You drinking a beer?"
No, it's Diet
iced
Coke.
Tea. Oh, Diet Coke. You got lemon in that? Lemon?
There is a lemon. Yeah, let me see. Can you see it right there?
Yeah, with the lemon twist.
Yes.
That's an 80s reference you may or may not get.
Well, you know that for a while, they were actually making like Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi with lemon flavor for a while.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and with lime. They did that for a while. Edward asked about Montreal Washington. I'd say solid B, although there was that play, I think it was yesterday. Man, you got to put more than one hand out to get the ball.
I know. He could have done two. Like sometimes you just do one because that's all you got. He could have easily done this and got a touchdown. And he would try to do this and
I couldn't believe
you're not there yet, man. You're not there to be afforded that. You have to catch everything.
He was so close to making the play of the day and maybe one of the top 2 or 3 plays at camp. And yeah, he could have put both arms out and he didn't. That was a disappointment, but I'm not going to downgrade him on one play when there have been so many good moments for him so far, but he's got to keep stacking them. He's, not the depth chart means everything right now. And if Marvin Mims ascends, then Montreal could have the punt and kickoff job, period. Because if Mims becomes the number 3 wide receiver, I don't think you're going to see him on returns. I think that's going to be a Montreal Washington job. So there's definitely still a very realistic path for Montreal to be on the 53 and getting a jersey. But
Velocity met you at camp yesterday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was great. Had a nice conversation. Loved it. This is the time of year to just catch up with people, right? Yeah, that's one of the things I love about just talking ball, talking life.
Yeah,
it's fun.
And it's nice because at training camp, it starts at 10. They really start about 11. Like you get some one-on-ones, you get some stuff, you get some movement. You can learn by watching them just move.
Yeah.
They don't really do anything till 11. Pro tip.
And for those who are coming out, and for me, I'm usually shooting photos about 10:30 or so. So yeah, that first half hour, like 10 to 10:30, if you see me out there, say hello. Hey, if you see me down on the concourse tomorrow night at State Farm Stadium, stop and say hi. Yeah.
There
Love
you
to
go.
catch up with everybody. And I know a lot of Bronco fans will be there because there is a huge Broncos presence down here in the Valley of the Sun. That is one thing that it's all every time you come down here, there's a ton of Bronco fans at the game.
That's always a good thing. When we get to the tight ends, are we going to hand out our first F? You know who I'm talking about.
Man,
let me draw the beginning letter of his last name.
oh,
are we going to hand out an F? Are we going to do a D?
I hate doing that, but man, it
hasn't been good.
This hasn't been a good camp for Albert, and it's bleep or get off the pot time for Alberto. It's year 4. They brought in another 4th-year tight end, another guy from the middle rounds of the 2020 draft. That's Adam Troutman, who's sitting there number 1 on the depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's getting late for Albert. Here's the thing. He has, and actually I've already written this part of the Alberto segment in my story of it. So I'll just kind of quote myself and what I've written, and you'll be able to read on denversports.com tomorrow morning. He has got to make himself indispensable. And what I mean by that is tomorrow night, get downfield and make a play that is so substantial that Sean Payton and the coaches take a second look and say, we need that dynamic threat. And yes, he's got to do special teams as well. He's been working on the special teams periods over the last few days. But he's got to make himself somebody that the coaches say, we absolutely need that threat on the field, even if we're only getting 10 plays a game out of him. We need that. So right now he hasn't done that. He hasn't. He should. There were some flashes in OTAs. It hasn't translated since the pads went on.
Has not translated yet. We're watching Adam Troutman do a lot of good things, and I still think more receiving skill is there for Troutman. Because at Dayton, he was a beast. He was an absolute beast.
He was supposed to be a pass catcher
and
first.
It usually takes about 3 years for tight ends to get going.
Yeah, and usually maybe a bit longer when you're talking about coming from the low end of FCS. I mean, Dayton is non-scholarship FCS. There are two tiers to FCS in Division I. Like there's like there's the level that North Dakota State, Montana, those schools are on. And, they've got some big budgets. And then Dayton, schools like Dayton, Davidson, University of San Diego, where Josh Johnson, a guy you and I both know, came
Toreros.
from. Yes. That's the non-scholarship level of FCS. That's a different ball game. I mean, it's actually closer to Division III than the rest of FCS. So it's elite. And it's taken some time. I may actually ask Sean Payton the question about the vision for Adam Troutman again, because he turned it into an answer about the depth chart. But I really am curious to see how the vision for Adam Troutman has evolved. I think right now, the vision is, okay, he's the best all-around tight end that we have. Maybe he's not the best blocker. That's Chris Manhertz. He's not the best pass catcher. That's Greg Dulcich. But he ranks maybe number 2 or 3 in everything that you have to do to be a tight end in the NFL, and that's why on balance he's number 1, but on the depth chart. But yeah, it's been a good camp. I'd say we're talking about Alberto having a low grade. We're talking about Adam Troutman having a high grade. I'd say he probably has the highest grade of anybody in that room. Although Nate Adkins gets a good grade as well.
He does.
And if you want to put some stock in the depth chart, 4th tight end means you're right there on the bubble. Yeah, making the 53, which would be huge for Nate Adkins.
And with his position versatility, he could easily make this 53-man roster. It is Orange and Blue today, presented by Champ Honda. Offensive line quickly, and then we got to get to the defense. So I think the red pen's going to be out for that O-line.
Yeah, let's divide it into interior and the tackles.
Interior is going to be great grades. Even Lloyd Cushenberry, we had a question about Lloyd earlier.
Yeah,
Lloyd is quietly having a camp that not enough people are talking about.
I'd say the interior is a B+ right now. We're seeing Quinn Miners and Ben Powers, their road graders. And I think having both of those big guys flanking Cushenberry is helping him. And he's able to settle in and flourish cerebrally because he knows that he's going to be covered with a couple of power guys. I think, with all respect to our friend Dalton Reisner, I don't know that if he was that he was the right complement on the left flank of Cushenberry the way that Ben Powers is, and Quinn Miners is just coming into his own as a player here in year 3.
Yeah. So interior, great. Tackles.
It's been rough. They've been shredded. How low do we want to go on this grade, Cease?
C-.
I don't want to go lower than that because McGlinchey missed some time to start a camp.
Right.
You know,
and Bowles is coming back from a major injury, so we're gonna have some grace. We're gonna give him some time, but just based on what they've done, it hasn't been good. It's been below average.
I'd say probably the weakest area on the offense has been the tackles so far.
Yes,
and that bleeds down. Cam Fleming is having an okay camp, but there's only one Cam Fleming. There have been times when they needed 2 Cam Flemings. Isaiah Prince has got to step it up a little bit there when he comes in too, and they may be asking a lot of Isaiah Prince.
Mm-hmm. So. And this is why heavy personnel and having tight ends and fullbacks that can chip. Like,
hey, Mike Burton and Chris Manhertz are going to play a lot this year.
Yeah, some sneaky touchdowns there. Probably between the two, I'd say 4 touchdowns on the year.
Okay.
Maybe 2 for Manhertz, 1-2 Burton. Like, I could see that for this team. Orange and Blue today, presented by Champ Honda. Defensive line. And this is where the fun begins because they got some ballers here.
Yeah. I think if you just go by the names on the defensive line, maybe you're not impressed. But DJ Jones is having a good camp. Zach Allen's having a great camp. Jonathan Harris is having a great camp. Harris, I mean, watching Harris in one-on-ones is kind of a revelation. You can read more about Jonathan Harris at denversports.com. I wrote a piece earlier today on him, caught up with him a few days ago. But, man, this dude just the way he plays, it's very similar to his career arc, and that is he's persistent. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is he's the longest tenured defensive lineman on the roster the Broncos have. He's the only D lineman that was there in 2019. One of his big plays was the classic Bill Kolar, get your hands up, because he had Kolar coaching him in 2019. Then he was on the NFI list in 2020, and then he was back in 2021. And so it's cool to kind of still see those Kolar concepts being borne out by Jonathan Harris. And Kolar, over the years, has taken so many players and made them more than you thought they could be. And Jonathan Harris, I think, is becoming another example of that.
Yeah, and don't anyone be surprised by that depth chart. He is clearly the best to start for this team. Yes. Although we do love Matt Henningsen, who I've made fun in a nice way of he's like a little mini Zach Allen.
I think Henningsen will make a play on Friday night, kind of like he did last year in the preseason. He flashed in the games. I think he's going to flash again in the games as they go on.
Yeah.
Thank you. They're just taking my plate, but yes, very nice place here. Yes,
very nice. Mace is at a restaurant, by the way. Orange. We didn't know if you're going to be like at a Starbucks, grabbing a cup of Joe. You went to a nice Mexican restaurant in.
Let me shout out the Barrio Cafe, which is where I am, and it's absolutely tremendous. I had a terrific chicken enchilada meal for lunch today. It was absolutely sensational. They had this little kind of this creamy lime sauce. Thank you. That was just out of this world, man. It was terrific.
That is awesome. Look at that refill.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you as well.
Nice tip today.
It's water. It's not vodka, everybody. We got some pass rushers to talk about. And think about how this grade would be different if we did this like after or even going into camp, like a pre-grade or whatever, an assessment test.
Yeah.
I was seriously concerned about these pass rushers. I'm still concerned because Randy Gregory's hurt all the time. I'm still concerned because I don't know where Frank Clark's at in his head yet. But man alive, Jonathan Cooper, the best player at camp every single day. Mm-hmm. And then Nick Benito has been a revelation. So I feel so much better about these pass rushers now.
I'd give the unit an A based on players relative to expectations. And the A's start with Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper, who if they have to be a starting duo, I'm actually growing more comfortable with them. Now with Benito, we're going to learn a little something as we get into the preseason. I imagine the Cardinals may try to run at him, and that's going to be the test. What is Nick Benito at the point of attack? But the guy the guy is stacking moves out there in the pass rush. When the play is trailing away from him, if it's a run, his backside pursuit is absolutely outstanding. It's like we've seen it a few times in camp that he has flagged a man down from behind, just never giving up on a play. And honestly, that's one of the things I really love about both Benito and Jonathan Cooper is those two dudes. Their motors are high and they just keep coming, and they never consider themselves out of a play. So that's a test of endurance, but it's also a test of your character as well. And they seem to be passing it time and time again.
Yeah, most guys that can't get to the quarterback when they're like Benito, they just stop.
Yeah, no,
Nick away from me, I'll just stop.
Nick keeps going. Nick keeps going.
You love that.
It's been great, and I think also he just looked at his rookie season last year and said, "Okay, how can I build on that?" And I think also for Medino having his old position coach from the University of Oklahoma now on the Broncos staff, I think that's helped him too.
Yep, one of the coaches, was it VJ, talked about that, but either way, we should note that, and he's responding, and this is what you want. You want players to change the narrative. Rookie Benito, not good. Second-year Benito, trending in a great direction.
This is why I don't like to grade drafts until you're at least a couple of years out, because my grade on Benito wouldn't have been great after year one. But you know what? He's showing all the signs right now.
It's a big jump. I don't care where you play. I don't care if it's Ohio State or Oklahoma or Dayton or Incarnate Word. It's a big jump.
Yeah,
big jump. I would feel better about inside linebackers if Jonas Griffith was healthy, but I still feel really good. Josie Jewell, Alex Singleton, my man Sanders, there's a lot of talent here. Justin Sternod getting a chance now.
Yeah, and I'd say as far as the starting duo, I mean, as long as Singleton and Jewell are healthy, that's just not a position you're worrying about. You're going to get quality. You're going to get guys that can that can read and diagnose plays quickly. You're going to get guys that have the ability to be involved in blitzing as well. Yeah, and they're sure tacklers. They're not going to miss very many stops when you get out there. And I think they'll be an even better duo this year. Their communication's really on point. They've now reached the level where they're just kind of talking in like gestures and kind of they don't have to yell at each other. You just kind of see a little move like that. So they have amazing chemistry together, and they're both the kind of players that you want at the core of your defense, helping everybody get set up. So the Broncos inside linebacker, I do worry if you lose one of them because Drew Sanders, he's got talent, but it's going to be raw, especially in coverage. But I think the starting two at ILB is as good as you're going to find in the league.
Yeah, and with Sanders, it's wild. He's just you turn him loose.
He is he's Nuke Lelouch. You saw Bull Durham, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Nuke gets to the Durham Bulls in the Carolina League. Walked 18, new league record. Also struck out 18, another new league record. Yeah, and you say, and then their assessment as they're talking about him. But I'm telling you, this guy's got some serious bleep. Drew Sanders has got some serious bleep as well.
Bleep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The bleep is dirtier than the word.
I guess, but we're trying to just keep it, family friendly
here on YouTube. Don't demonetize us, YouTube overlords. We got to talk about the secondary. We'll obviously split it into corner and safety, but how many A's? How many? I feel like
Sertan,
in Christmas Story, right?
Simmons.
Christmas Story when she's grading the project and he's having the fantasy about his paper and she's like, A plus. Right.
And then the reality is C plus. Yes. Anyway.
That's how I feel about this secondary, baby. They're all over the place. They're great.
Yeah, it's been a good summer. And I'll tell you, at safety, obviously Justin Simmons is having a marvelous camp. He's probably the star of training camp, even though he's missed the last few days with a groin injury. But I like what I've seen from Caden Stearns. I like what I've seen from PJ Locke as well. And then Kareem Jackson's right there. You know what you're getting from Kareem. But when you see Caden taking the next step and PJ Locke taking the next step, that's really positive. I think it's going to be tough, barring a tsunami of injuries for Delaren Turner-Yell or J.L. Skinner to get much playing time in terms of defensive snaps this year. And J.L. Skinner, man, he is right there on the bubble. It's maybe we'll see more from him in the game. He's a player that I think could flourish, but right now it's been a bit of a struggle for him.
He could be a gamer because a lot of the stuff that he does in terms of physicality, he can't really show in practice. He can't take someone's head off in practice. He can in a game.
Right. And so that's why I think, that's why he's going to be one of my players to watch in this game, because I think this environment's going to actually suit him really well. But we haven't seen it yet. Doesn't mean it's not there. But inevitably, we come out of that first preseason game talking about one or two different players than we've been talking about before. And J.L. Skinner might be one of those players.
Might be. You might be a wine and cheese guy, just not today. Not when you're in Arizona.
I'm not okay. Well, I do like some wine and I do like some cheese, but I don't know. I'm kind of down market. I'm. You don't need to be playing the classical music like in the Grey Poupon commercials back in the day. I'm
right.
Hey, I can. Although this isn't lowbrow, this is a nice place. Like I may even come back here on Saturday. I like my meal so much. So
yeah, somebody in the chat room it might have been Steve that said like that place is awesome. So.
It is
good selection.
I had a couple of nice recommendations on this place, and I was not let down at all.
There's nothing like the best local places. I don't want to turn this into a Dennis Collins show, but if we were traveling on the road, that would be part of our show. Like finding those local places, it's just great.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm always looking to add new ones. I've got some, a lot of places. I've got. My usual spots, but I'm always looking for more. So, you know how to find me on Twitter or X. By the way, I saw this today.
The dumbest name ever.
Yeah. Someone suggested that the X be pronounced SH because like in Chinese, if you see X like Xi
Jiang,
Jiang, Xi Jinping, that okay. So it's you pronounce X as SH and then speak. I can't say it, but if you in your mind's ear, or your mind's mouth, perhaps it's resonating.
Your mind's mouth. There you go. That's a new one.
Mind's eye, mind's ear, mind's mouth, mind's nose. I mean, we've got all the senses in our mind, right?
Splinter of the Mind's Eye, the first Star Wars novel after A New Hope.
That's right.
Before Empire Strikes Back.
All right. We got one area to go through now, and that's
special teams. Of course I would forget special teams. Here I'm wrapping up the show talking about Star Wars. Let's not forget special teams.
Riley Dixon's looked really good. Brett Maher and Elliott Fry, according to Ben Katwika, they're both over 90%. Last field goal period we saw, they're both perfect. Brett Maher's hit some big kicks. Really, the one day that wasn't great for both of them was a day that fans weren't there. But aside from that, it's been a really good camp so far for both of them. So I'm giving teams so far solid B+.
Solid B+. There you go. All right. That is a wrap for today's program. He is Andrew Mason. You follow him on, I'm not going to say it. Just it's at Mace Denver. There you go.
Yes.
We'll make it happen. Follow me at Cecil Lammey. We appreciate you all. We're at DenverSports.com on all your social networking channels, and do all the YouTube things. Help us out. Keep growing the channel. You guys have been amazing for helping us grow this channel and grow this show. The numbers have been amazing. We love you. Thank you so much for that. Tell a friend. Orange or Blue Today. We're your guys. So like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. He's Mace. I'm Cease. OBT is a BFD. Thank you as always. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty.